So once I saw that I wasn't who I thought I was, and who I was much better, but I couldn't stay there. I kept coming back into who I thought I was. So I started to look around for how to get into who I really am and stay here. That turned out to be the game. I knew how to get high by all kinds of means, but I didn't know how not to come down. And come down meant come back into my acculturation, come back into my acculturated mind, come back into my conceptual map of reality that was a set of, who knows, electrical, chemical, whatever, habits of thought or whatever, which I will call my ego, for want of a better term. So I would override my ego through spiritual practices, and I would go into a plane of awareness where I was still a separate entity, but I was somehow, it was like coming up out of the smog before the Santa Ana winds. You know, it's like you go into a plane and you go up and suddenly there's sun again. You'd forgotten. And that's what it felt like, coming back into sunlight. And I tried all these methods, and I could get in, but I'd keep drifting back down. No matter how long I tried to stay up there, I would re-enter. I seemed to have karma hanging around that required some attention about my incarnation. So at some point in that process, I began to see my predicament was that I was trying to get high rather than trying to become free. And that high had a polarity in it of low, and that by holding onto the high, I was in effect pushing away the low. That is, I was pushing away the psychophysical identity that I was born into and that I had thought I was all that time. It's as if once I escaped from the prison cell of my own mind, I didn't want to go back into the cell at all, and I got an aversion to that cell. But by then, I was such a deep practitioner of Buddhism, in which I could understand that the cause of suffering has to do with the clinging of mind, and that the things you cling to are attractions or aversions. And the thing I was clinging to was an aversion of me as a human being. I was busy being holy. So at that point, I turned my efforts around, and I looked at life and realized that I had to embrace my humanity into my being to be free. Is this still, are you with me still, or is it, huh? Because I can simplify it and make it funnier. I think it's pretty funny anyway. But. I've got a wonderful confession to make. A while back, I bought this shirt, which I like the color, and makes me feel good. So the first time I put it on, I went to an Italian restaurant. And as I was eating my salad, because I have a belly now, so everything is more on a horizontal and a vertical, a big glob of oil and vinegar went onto the shirt, and I've washed it in everything. All those things that say they will, didn't. So I still had this stain here. So each time I carry the shirt, because I like it, and I put it on, I say, no, I can't wear that, it's going to stain. So what I've done is I put my name tag over the stain. See, what I'm talking about is cultivating, and you and I meeting in a place of awareness where for a moment we can lay down our righteousness and just be together. We don't have to sit around judging God for a moment. We could just sit around and appreciate what's going on. Just listen to what's going on. I don't mean appreciate meaning, oh, it's wonderful. Forget that. I mean acknowledge, allow, be with what is happening in the universe. Because every time you armor yourself against any of it, in you, out of you, you're dying a little bit. You're being the living dead. You're closing off a certain kind of prana or shakti or energy or freedom or something. Living truth. So you and I meet on two levels. If you look at me on one level, you see somebody dressed in a good-looking shirt, a 65-year-old, decaying, handsome man. And then you shift channels once, and you look at me now, and you see a speaker. You see a person who was a druggie. You see my psychosocial, blah. You see neurosis. You see all of it. And you're looking at me, and you say, there's a neurotic. And I am, just like you are. I mean, my neuroses are my style. I don't know what yours are for you. You need a few neuroses to make life interesting. You just don't have to take them as seriously as we do. My neuroses went from being these huge monsters that would possess me. You know, I'd be galumphing along very holy and clear and light, and along would come one of my neuroses. You know, like lust. I'd hear myself saying, wouldn't you like to come up and see my holy pictures? But then over time, through all these practices, not that I got rid of my neuroses, but I changed who I was in relation to them. So the neuroses became like these little schmoos. That, hello, I haven't seen you in weeks, come in and have tea. They're like your old friends because you've been so intimately involved with your neuroses, haven't you? Didn't you think they were real and you were real in them and all? And then you awaken, you see it's just the neurosis. And now I just think of my neuroses as my style. So you look at me and you see these levels, and then you look once more, just turn the dial once more, and what you see is a fellow soul sitting here, just like you, saying to you, isn't it interesting? Isn't this an interesting trip? How are you enjoying it? And you see yourself as fellow souls who have met to say, well, what's it like what's the incarnation like? How are you doing with it? Can you hear this? Is this too... I look at some of you going like that, I assume. Some of you going like that. Half of the audience thinks the other is psychotic. It's interesting. An interesting predicament to find myself in.
Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe to our channel,